Hey there, Amanda here. Today I wanted to show you one of my favorite braised chicken dishes. It's a braised chicken with tomato and fennel, and it's one of my all-time favorites. But it also has a little bit of a story behind it. So I went to cooking school a couple years ago, and after I finished cooking school, you're required to do a stage in a restaurant. The stage is just basically like a fancy word for an unpaid internship. So I worked for 2 months in the kitchen of this kind of stuffy, fancy restaurant in San Francisco. And so after 2 months of work, the day before my last day, the head chef came to me and said, as a thank you for all of your hard work, you get to now make staff meal for all of us. You get to cook staff meal. It's kind of an honor, but I was pretty much terrified. On my last day of work, I came in a couple hours early just to prep and cook this dish. But all the hard work was worth it. I ended up making it for everyone and everyone loved it, and so it's kind of become one of my favorite dishes. Although I'm not sure I want to work in that kitchen again, I love the story behind it. So here's how you make the braised chicken with tomato and fennel. So first up, let me show you how I did the chicken. So I got a whole chicken from the grocery store and I cut it into 8 pieces. You could totally go to your butcher and ask him to do it for you just to save yourself a step. I basically broke it down into 8 pieces. So on top of that, I'm going to add a big pinch of salt and then a big pinch of pepper. So we're going to brown the chicken so it gets nice and crispy. I'm going to put in about 1 tablespoon of olive oil and then add the chicken skin side down. I really like this dish because you're searing everything in the same pan, but I'm also going to cook it in the pan in the oven in a couple minutes. So you want to make sure you put it skin side down because the skin gets all nice and crispy and brown. And that's also going to taste delicious, but it's also going to make your dish really pretty. Okay, so my chicken has started to brown. Look at that beautiful color. I'm just going to pull it off and put it back on the plate. And you'll know that your chicken is ready and it's nice and brown when it kind of comes off of the pan really easily. So if it starts to stick, put it back on for a couple minutes because it's not ready to be pulled off. So one of the reasons that I love this recipe is that we sear the chicken skin side down and then we take that off and then we build a pan sauce around all the yummy chicken drippings. And then from there, we're going to put the chicken back in and then put it into the oven and cook it for about 30 minutes. And then there's a little bit of kind of oil and leftover chicken fat on the pan. I'm just going to gently remove that. So carefully, it's hot. Just pour it straight into just a bowl and let it cool. And if you look, the bottom of the pan has all that kind of delicious chicken, crispy chicken bits. It's called fond, and we're going to deglaze the pan so we can get all that yumminess. So next up, we're going to add half of an onion that I've thinly sliced. And give that a quick stir. And then to that, I'm going to add 2 cloves of garlic that I chopped up. Cooked for about 2 to 3 minutes. We just want the onions to be translucent and the garlic to be kind of golden brown. I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of fennel seed, and I like the whole fennel seed. You can also have ground, but I like whole. It kind of gives a little more flavor. So if you're not familiar, fennel seed has this really great kind of anise licorice flavor. It goes well with chicken and also the tomatoes and the oranges that I'm going to put in here. We're going to deglaze the pan with some chicken broth. I've got about 1/2 cup. And by adding the chicken broth, we're deglazing the pan. We're essentially getting all those kind of yummy crusty bits off of the bottom of the skillet and into the sauce. Cook that for about 1 to 2 minutes until it reduces. Okay, so my chicken broth has reduced slightly, and on top of this, I'm gonna add in about 1.5 cups of diced tomatoes, and you can just use canned tomatoes, as well as the juice of 1 orange and the zest of 1 orange. Just give that a big stir, and then we're gonna put some salt and pepper on it. So to this dish, you could also add olives if you wanted, like Castle Veltrano or black olives would be really delicious. You could do capers, or you can kind of play on it, maybe artichokes in there too. It's a really versatile dish that you can just play around with and adapt. You could also use different parts of the chicken. I have a whole chicken, but you could do chicken breast or just chicken thighs. If you do chicken thighs, it's going to change the cook time a little bit more, probably about 10 minutes. So just be careful of that. So now we're going to put our chicken right back into the dish, but this time skin side up. Just rest it right on top. Great, so I've got my chicken back into the skillet, and now I'm going to put it into a 375-degree oven for about 30 minutes and let it cook and braise away. My chicken dish is done. It's been in the oven for about ½ an hour. And let me just make sure it's done. I've said this in previous videos, but my favorite way to tell if chicken is done is using a meat thermometer. I just have this electronic one, and you just stick it into, especially a chicken, thighs cook slower, so just stick it into a chicken thigh just to double check. And you want to make sure that it's at least 165. And it is. Some people struggle with knowing when chicken's done, how long to cook chicken, and just getting a meat thermometer. They're super cheap. I'll put a link below for the ones on Amazon that I like. It's just a kind of foolproof way to know that your chicken dish is done. I'm gonna put some parsley on top just for some garnish, and then we are ready to dig in. Okay, so let me give it a taste. and it is so good. That orange and the tomato come together perfectly, and that fennel, that anise flavor, was one of my favorites. This to me is a really great entertaining dish. It's kind of a superstar, really easy to make. You can kind of have it braising while your guests arrive, and then it'll just totally wow everyone that's come over for dinner. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up below, and also make sure to subscribe for new video recipes uploaded every week.